So I just got done watching The Mandalorian Season 3, and originally I was going to say it was mid, but now I don't know how to feel after that finale. But we'll still go with mid for now. I went into this season really wanting to like it. So I really loved the previous 2 seasons, but for some reason this one just felt different. I saw someone online say that it felt like The Mandalorian was meant to end with season 2, but the cameraman just decided to stick around, and I couldn't agree more. But before I rip absolute shit into this series, I'm going to talk about the stuff I did like. This might not be a popular opinion, but I kind of like the cute scenes between Mando and Grogu.
What are you doing? Stop. Grogu. No. You have to pay for those.
He's such a little bastard. And some people aren't very happy that Grogu is back. And I do agree that they should have waited until the end of this series to bring him back, instead of in the book of Boba Fett, as maybe the Mandalorian would have got some on-screen character development. But Disney knows where the money is, and I wasn't expecting any different. I also like that Bo-Katan got fleshed out more, and got quite a bit of development this season with her taking on the Creed. But anything else that I really liked in this series is a spoiler, so we'll have to get into that later. And now it's time to talk about the stuff that I didn't like. Now let me remind you, I really did want to love this season, but it didn't help that they turned the main character into a complete dumbass. Maybe he was like it before and I never picked up on it, but I certainly have now. There's this scene in episode 2 where Mando takes a droid with him to scout out Mandalore to see if it's dangerous, and the droid disappears off the radar, meaning it's dangerous. So like someone with any form of survival instinct, the Mandalorian gets right out of his ship to go and investigate, and then gets captured, like the dumbass he fucking is. Then he has to hope to God that Grogu knows how to get to Bo-Katan, who may not even help because she didn't seem very happy with him when he visited. But oh well, a few minutes after Bo-Katan saves him, he then goes to bathe in the waters of Mandalore with his armor still on. I'll give it to him, he takes off the weapons and he can't take off his helmet, but he's wearing metal armor. Why not just take off the armor and leave the helmet on? But no, just like that, he steps in and sinks straight to the bottom. When I first watched this, I thought he got pulled down by a monster, but on a second watch for this video, I realized that no, he just dropped like a stone, leaving him to be saved again. I'd accept this if this man was not perfectly capable of operating a human body prior to this. Like that time he cut a guy in half in a show that wasn't even his. Oh well, I guess it was helpful to set up Bo-Katan as a valuable member for people who didn't watch Clone Wars. But it was established in the last series, like a lot of the in this series. But oh well, the next thing I didn't like about this series was the weird pacing. Things either happened for way too long or not long enough. Like the episode with the missing ear Doctor Man. Holy f***, I can't even begin to imagine how they thought this would be entertaining. The whole episode I was there like, and now it's going to cut to the Mandalorian. And now it's going to cut to the Mandalorian. And now it's going to... And it did, like half an hour later, which revealed loads of interesting in the last 5 minutes. And then it was like, nah, come back next week. And I did come back next week, and it was pretty good. But then I came back the week after that, and I was greeted with this. I'll be honest, I don't think this episode was nearly as bad as people made it seem, but the inclusion of LIZZO definitely lowered the quality there. There are certainly so many other actors that deserve to be there, but oh well, we got Jack Black, and this series is an absolute fest anyways, so who gives a fuck? Right, I'm about to get into spoilers, so if you haven't watched this season and don't want to be spoiled, even after hearing everything I've just said, be my guest. Okay, you're gone? Okay, good. So I started writing this review before I even watched the finale, and my feelings are so mixed now. Because on one hand, they haven't earned the title of this being a good season, because there were like 2 good episodes. But this finale felt like an actual episode of The Mandalorian. It kind of felt like they wrote the finale first, then wrote the rest of the season around it. Like this is a better continuation of season 2 than any other part of the season. For example, the Moff Gideon clones that now have the Force thanks to when they captured Grogu in season 2. And I'll say that Moff Gideon didn't even seem to be on the cards to return until they found the ship he'd escaped from like halfway through the series. And then I was like, that's where this is going. But now, the episode with the doctor person makes even less sense because it didn't build up to anything in the finale. I mean, it might play a bigger role in the next season, if there is one. But I feel if that's the case, they shouldn't have wasted an entire episode on it, and instead put little hints and details throughout all the episodes. I felt like even though the episode was boring, it was going to be crucial viewing, be able to make sense of things in the finale. But oh well, I guess we know the Republic is corrupt now, so there's that. To be honest with you, this is probably my monkey brain speaking, but I was pretty happy with the return of Moff Gideon. And I love Giancarlo Esposito. I've probably that. but I think we're going to need a new villain soon. I don't think that's going to happen though, even though he should be dead. Because not only did he have the clones, we also didn't see a body. And you know the rules. I think instead the original Moff Gideon will just become a new version of Darth Vader, where he has to use the Dark Trooper armor as his body because he's all burnt now. Which sounds pretty cool if I'm being honest with you. And yeah, he destroyed the Darksaber and it's made out to be a huge deal, but they'll probably just fix it in the next season, so don't worry about that. One huge complaint everyone had, including myself, is that Bo-Katan began to overshadow the Mandalorian in his own show, The Mandalorian. Just like how the Mandalorian began to overshadow Boba Fett in his own show, The Book of Boba Fett. But in the last 2 episodes, I do believe that they got the right amount of exposure and Bo-Katan got some good moments. And despite what I said earlier, the Mandalorian felt like the Mandalorian again. He was actually holding his own and using his brain. Right, this is a complete nitpick, but why is there always a moment in final battles where the villain has the upper hand and could kill the protagonist, but instead just decides to chuck them across the room? I also liked that in the finale, Grogu actually did like he was helpful and doing stuff on his own. He even got a few moments to do some Jedi flips and recreate that scene from the first season to show how much better he is at using the Force, which I thought was a nice little callback. He even got adopted and is now a Mandalorian apprentice, so that's a little nice bit of development for him. I kind of wish this was a more linear growth throughout the whole season, as he was just kind of the same throughout until this episode, but to be honest, I wasn't really expecting him to go through any huge changes anyway, so oh well. I'm kind of sad that Paz Vizsla got no funeral or any kind of honor after his pointless death. Like, they developed him a lot this series and then just killed him, and then once he died, no one really gave it much thought. Not even his own kid acknowledges it. But with all that being said, this episode alone can't really redeem the series for me because there's no need to rewatch it. These episodes are so directionless and boring in the grand scheme of things. I just hope that if there is a next season, it's good again and returns to the regular format with creative ideas and clearer direction for what the goal of the series is going to be. I feel this season was missing a lot of those nice quiet ambient scenes that the original seasons had, like when the Mandalorian would have a calmer moment just sitting in the Razor Crest, but then, you know, so no more of that. But I think many people would rather have that than whatever the f this is. A man can dream, but the dream is probably going to be shit and pissed on and set on fire, especially after Jon Favreau has said stuff like this. I don't really know where else they would go from here that could be worth a whole series, because I don't think I'm the only one that thought that that ending seemed pretty conclusive. There were even parts where I thought they were going to kill Din Djarin, and I really don't think I'm alone in saying that I don't want a show as good as The Mandalorian was to go out in such a shit way. But it's over now. Let me just say that I am not at all qualified to rate things. But if I was, I'd give The Mandalorian Season 3 a 5 out of 10. It's not over yet. I'm still very new to making these review style videos, and criticism goes both ways. So if you can dish it out, you need to be able to take it in. So if you could criticize the absolute out of this video, it'd be really helpful so that I can make better ones. Bye!